Hi, everybody. Angel here, and I hope you're doing great. And today I am super excited to speak with Brooke, and we will get started very soon. And we will be talking about Brooke's vegan journey as well as her community, the vegan soul foodie, lots of information about her events as well as her vegan soul food cuisine. So I'm super excited to speak with her today, and we will get started very, very soon. Brooke, her page is linked. Well, you will see it at the top when she enters, as well as at the bottom there in the comment. Hi, Brooke. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Let me make sure my volume is up. Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, first of all, Brooke, thanks so much for taking the time. I want to thank everybody who's joining, either live or on the replay. I'm super excited because when I saw your page, I was like, wow, vegan soul food. I need to figure out what this is. Everybody needs to figure out what this is. So I see people trickling in. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. And I want to invite everybody to put your questions and comments down below for Brooke. And I'm sure she'll be happy to answer as we go along. I have tons of questions for Brooke, so I am just going to jump right in, and then we'll see what the questions are as we go along, if you're okay with that, Brooke.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So again, thank you so much for coming on today. And my first question for you is, how did you start your plant-based vegan journey, whenever it started back then to where you are today, please?
Well, when I was a freshman in college, is when I started. That was about 30 years ago, 32 years ago. Um, I became a vegetarian, and back then, we were either strict vegetarian or vegetarian. So vegetarian was lacto-ovo, or strict vegetarian was what we would consider vegan. So the term vegan didn't really come about until around the 2000s, I think, early 2000s, something like that. But up until that time, we were either strict vegetarian or vegetarian. So along that journey, in the 30 years, my husband, who has joined with me, we got married in 93, 93. We've been either vegetarian, 100% plant-based, um, pescatarian, or yeah, or, but I never considered myself to be vegan. Even though I eat all vegan foods now, I don't consider myself to be a vegan because it's a very political term, and it's wrapped up in a lot of things that really have to do with protecting the animals. And I would say that my purpose has always been kind of a spiritual path, and also taking care of my body temple and that kind of thing. So not to say that I don't love the animals, because I absolutely do,
Right.
but I'm not caught up in the politics of veganism.
Oh my gosh, Brooke, you have said so much there just in a nutshell. And I just want to kind of tap into a couple of points that you made. And thank you for like sharing that, because in my first year of university as well, I
Mm-hmm.
stumbled into a bookstore. Well, it was actually a health food store, and they had a lot of books
Mm-hmm.
way back when. This was before the internet was popular. And
Yes.
long story short, I stumbled across what you call a strict vegetarian book.
Mm-hmm.
And you're the first person to actually like lay it out like that. And I really love that, because I tell people, well, it wasn't the lacto ovo kind of vegetarian. It was the vegetarians who, they ate all plants, and yes, they did include honey. And so I just fell in love with the recipes, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
and I just started making a ton of recipes. I called myself vegetarian, went back home for the holidays. There was a lot of hand wringing, consternation. No, you have to eat what we're eating. No, you can't do that. And I gave in, and I went back to eating everything else. And then it
Oh.
took me probably another decade. So, you know, in my 20s to mid late 20s to like go back to what we call
Mm-hmm.
vegetarian, because, you know, I was trying to get healthier. And I'd
Mm-hmm.
read in some other book that, you know, giving up like dairy and meat and all that was going to make me healthier. And then I kind of like, you know, mixed it up between pescatarian and vegetarian. So I really want to thank you for that. And I also want to applaud you for like, you know, it is a sensitive topic, this whole thing about vegan for the
Mm-hmm.
animals, and a lot of people are very uncomfortable with it. I personally am not, but I understand like how some people might say, well, let me stay away from that particular word, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate you, you know, saying that.
Well, you know, it was a thing that I had to think about when I created my group. I have a group on Facebook, and I'm not sure if you're aware. It's
Yeah,
about,
yeah, we're going to talk about that too. Tell
okay.
us.
So when I started my group about 3.5 years ago, it was a thing that I had to think about. Do I want to make it plant-based soul food? Do I want to make it vegan soul food? And my husband's like, just go for vegan. It's cool, you know, because we're focusing on vegan foods and being vegan foodies,
Yes.
like really being foodies, because that's a thing that people think that because you eat vegan, you can't be a foodie. You just have to take what you get. If there's just
Well,
lettuce,
they don't know me very well then.
yeah. If there's just lettuce there, if there's a salad, just smile. That's all you eat is salad anyway. So just go ahead and eat that and just leave us alone. Leave us to our meat because you guys don't eat anything but salads and quinoa. So do that, you know. So,
I love it.
so when I started the group, I really wanted to focus on just being feeding foodies because
Yeah.
vegan foodies, because I think that that's the thing that we can all agree on. Whether we're coming for the animals, we're coming for being 100% plant-based, we're coming because we're our family members, whatever the
Yeah.
reason that we're coming,
Yeah.
we all have to eat. We all want it to taste good. And I felt like that was just a place that we could come together and enjoy each other, you know, and really, and it's worked out so far because I used to watch other vegan groups and they would get into Dr. Sabi arguments, they would get into I'm for the animals arguments, the
No.
alkaline arguments, the
Yeah.
this and that.
The
And
planet. There's
yeah,
the
all the
planet.
things, paper plate arguments, all these kinds of things. And I would be like, what is wrong with you people? I'm just, really, I would be thinking, I'm just here for the recipes, you know, what is all the rest of this? So you'd have to like scroll to get this inspiration because between all the fighting and the carrying on that was happening. So I
Yeah.
just was like, and I had joined prior to starting my group, I had joined a few food groups, like what's for dinner and things like that. And I was like, okay, yeah, well, let me try that, you know, the food groups. And it was just too much meat and it was just too much going on. I was like, oh my God, I can't do it. So the thing that I found is that food groups shame you, vegan groups shame you.
Yeah.
So let's just try to make a space where we're encouraging about the food. We're not talking about our lifestyle. We're not talking about anything. We're not talking about our beliefs. We're talking about this yummy food that we all have to sit down and enjoy.
And you know what? I want to applaud you because you have succeeded because you were at basically 500,000 members
Mm-hmm.
in that community, which again, you know, is on my list of long questions for you. But I want to say hi to everybody who's joining. Thank you so much for joining. Please put your questions and comments down below for Brooke. If you're not following Brooke already, follow her. Follow me and get involved in this conversation. While we wait for questions, Brooke, let me ask you, what are some of the challenges that you face along the way of moving to a plant diet and lifestyle?
Well, you kind of touched on it. I remember, like, you know, you go home to family and they say, but you eat chicken, right? No. But you eat fish, right? No. Um, so that's kind of what led me into pescatarian a lot of times because a couple different things. My father really loved to cook fish and he liked to do that as an offering. So when I came home, he liked to cook for you. And he could some things he couldn't understand about what to do. Like he kind of did, but he was resistant because he lived with my mother, and sometimes she would be vegetarian. So he knew a little bit, but he was
Oh,
very
okay.
yeah, but he was resistant.
Okay.
But where we settled is on fried fish. I would go ahead and eat the fish, and then that's what kind of brought me back into being pescatarian. And it's kind of funny because during those years, like I might go to a restaurant, right, and I don't eat cheese and I don't eat eggs, but I eat fish, you know. So
Right.
it would be very, very hard for people to, for me to get something to eat, because I wasn't like I would eat vegan, but sometimes I might have wanted something with fish, and I would have to do all these kinds of things to make it creative for years. You go into restaurants and you just have to be creative. You look
Yeah.
at the menu and you have to rearrange it to what you want. And sometimes waiters and waitresses, even today, are resistant to that.
Yes.
Sometimes they're very open to it. Like I used to go to McDonald's, and like Burger King has always been vegetarian friendly, whether people know it or not. Even before they had the Impossible, they had a Morningstar Farm
Yeah,
Burger,
veggie
and
burger.
before that, you could just go there and order a veggie Whopper. They would take the meat out. They would melt the cheese on it if you ate cheese,
Yeah.
lettuce, tomato. It was a beautiful thing. You could go. They even had a button for it. So Burger King has been vegan and vegetarian friendly forever. So, but if I couldn't find one and I had to go to McDonald's, now that would be a problem. The people in the back, I gotta have me some meat. Who's ordering that? Because
I know that kind of talk. Yeah. How can
so
you do that? You sure?
exactly. What you want me to do with the meat, girl? Keep it. I've asked you for the bun, the lettuce, tomato, the onion, and the cheese if I was eating cheese at that time. But
Right,
leave me
right.
alone, leave me alone. But so holidays, finding places to eat, things, that kind of stuff. Those were the challenges. But we got through it. Sometimes we'd have to buy our milk and make it up ourselves out of a powder,
Right.
or we'd have to buy a huge giant case of rice milk. Back then, you don't hardly even see rice milk anymore. But we used to
No,
buy
yeah, but back when I started my whole like lacto ovo free diet, it was more soy milk, to be honest.
right. But we used a lot of rice. We didn't do as much soy. My husband liked it thin, and so did I. So that's why we chose the rice milk. Mm. But now he likes it thick with the oat milk. So
Oat milk is popular. But I feel so much compassion for your father because my family also used to try to always have like a fish option for me or a
hmm
seafood option for me. And of course, even though, it got to a point where I didn't really want to do it and want to eat it, not because I was vegan, I wasn't vegan. It's just that I'd heard about the mercury in the waters and this and that.
hmm
And so I pay a lot of attention to those kinds of things. And so, but I would find it hard to say no because they did it out of love and out of,
hmm
and so I would basically just go along with the program.
Exactly. This is what I was explaining to someone who interviewed me. She was like, "Well, what's been a deal breaker in terms of going home to family?" It was around Thanksgiving I got interviewed. I said, "Really, if they're doing it out of love, I just wink and nod. You know, I don't. I definitely didn't eat pork before I became a plant-based, plant dominant is what I call it, because I was Seventh-day Adventist for years,
Oh,
right?
okay, yeah.
So I didn't eat
Yeah.
pork. But if they put pork in it, I might eat the greens. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because
Yeah.
if I was like that would only happen on my husband's
Yeah.
side, because they totally didn't understand any of
No.
that. On my side, it would be turkey and the greens, and I might have
Yeah.
to eat the turkey.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sometimes not the turkey, but around it.
Yeah.
Eat
I used
around
to
it.
push it. I used to just put it
Yeah,
on the side.
put it on the side, just because they're trying.
They
And so I wasn't like staunch in like my way or the highway. I've been doing this 20 years. Damn well I don't eat turkey. I would.
No, it's so similar to me. Oh my gosh.
I would just say whatever. Okay, I'll just eat around it, and and I would provide my own options as
Yes.
well, especially for my kids because I raised them vegetarian, and they really didn't know anything about meat ever. They've not eaten meat. So how does one start plant-based lifestyle? Okay, so I like how this popped up as a question. What is that?
Yeah,
That's
I,
new.
I, I put it up for you. So
Oh,
please
okay.
offer your suggestions. Thank you.
So a couple things on my page. If you swipe all the way to the left, there's a guide that gives you 15 tips on how to start if you're a beginner. But let me just give you a few of them. The first thing that you can do, and I recommend this, start filling up your plate with more fruits and veggies. You don't have to eliminate the meat right away. Just add more fruits and veggies, right? Just because your taste buds will start craving more fruits and veggies if you put more in, right? And then you'll just have it in your mind that, hey, I'm going to reduce the meat, and make your meat smaller and smaller, more fruits and veggies. Make sure you do things like soak your beans and your nuts before you prepare them, because you can get gas. And something like gas, you know, we might be looking for an excuse to go back to the ham anyway. So something like gas is a good way to give you that excuse. So soak first.
Good point.
And that'll really cut down on things like gas and discomfort that you might feel from the seeds and the nuts, because they have like a little protective covering that God has given them so that they could be a tree or a plant. And when you soak that off or boil it off, then you can eat it. You're not eating that protective covering, which causes the gas. So another thing that I would say, now, one thing that I do, if you're very serious and you need to have it done right away because you have a health concern or something like that, try a 30-day raw and fruit fast. I do one about twice a year for 30 days.
Beautiful.
And I've even written a whole guide on how to do it so that you're not hungry, a 10-step guide, and it has recipes in it so that you can raw and juice fast without being hungry, because that's a big thing.
Calories.
I used to,
Getting enough calories.
Yeah. I used to be an admin of a group called Juice Meals, and it was about juice fasting. And we did, in the group, we would do all these fasts and everything. And for me, because I have a master's in professional counseling, which is like behavioral health, I knew that you just really can't sustain just juicing all the time if you want to maintain your weight. You have to have a place you're going. Yeah, you have to have a place you're going after you fast, right? So for me, understand like where you're going. Anyway, eventually they threw me out of that group, I think, because of my radical ideas of knowing. I was in there. I created the structure. I created the structure and everything for that group for 4 years. And they booted me out at 2:00 in the morning.
No.
Anyway.
No.
It's okay. Because look, now I'm at 500,000. It's okay.
You are. I was shocked. I was like, what? I have never seen a group that big.
There's a group called, there are a few other groups that big. There's one called, another Black group called Black Travel Movement. Is 550,000, I think. And then there's another group called Cheap Foods. It's like over 1 million. So there are bigger groups. But I would say somebody said
vegan,
to me,
but vegan, though, sorry to interrupt.
I really think I'm the biggest. No, I'm not the biggest. No, I'm not the biggest. I'm going to tell you, I'm the most engaged. I'll tell you why I'm not the biggest. There are actually a bunch of international kind of scammy groups out there. And they actually have lots of members because they have all these kind of tricks that they do to make their groups grow, but they don't have a lot of engagement, and it's really boring over there. I keep an eye on them because they try to come into my group and cipher things off, so I have to kind of keep an eye on them and know who's in there and all that kind of stuff. It's really a big task managing a group. It's not an easy thing, but anyway, so I would say we're definitely the most engaged vegan group, just from what I've seen.
Yeah.
And we're majority Black too, and we're majority Black as well.
I applaud you, honestly. And I want to thank this person for this question. Now, we do have another question.
Okay.
And I will put it up for you. Brooke.
Do you have a cookbook? I actually have 4 cookbooks. So if you go over to Amazon and you search for Brooke Brim, you'll see all my books. I have about 6 over there. And so you search Brooke Brim on Amazon and you will find it. Or you can search Vegan Soul Foodie on Amazon and you will definitely find my recipe guides. So I have 3, one that's called Traditional Family Meals, one that is sauces and dips and gravies, which is so important for vegan food. We discount that, but it's really good to know how to make that stuff to make the food luscious. I have one that's called So Decadent for meat that meat lovers can enjoy, and of course the fasting guide. It's a guide about fasting, but it also has several recipes in the back.
Beautiful.
So I have 4 over there. Thank you. 6 books in total over on Amazon, and 4 of them related to vegan food. So since starting the plant-based lifestyle, what health benefits have you noticed? Well, I'm going to say
this person took one of my questions. Thank you. They're taking all my questions. I love it. Thank you.
So you don't have to ask. So look at me. I'm 53. So that's one really big benefit is that I feel like I look a lot younger.
You must be asked for ID. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that
No.
you're going to buy
Oh,
a
I
bottle of
do,
wine
but
or anything, but I'm just saying, like, oh my gosh, like seriously.
well, I live in Georgia, so I have to get asked for ID. They always do. But I
Oh,
don't think I did my, I was at my mother's 80th birthday party about a few days ago, 10 days ago or so.
happy birthday to your mom.
Thank you. Yes, I'm so happy. And one of my daughter's friends said, "Oh, your mom looks 28." I was like, "I'll take it." You know.
That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you. I was gonna say in your 20s. I was like, you know what? People might think I'm exaggerating, but I honestly, when you took your glasses off, I was like, no way. And even the photo, sorry, but the photo you sent
Uh-huh.
for the flyer, I was like, oh my gosh, like she looks so young.
Well, thank you. So I think that is the main thing. I'm gonna take it off again so you
Yo!
guys can see. No. No. But I think that is one of the main benefits. I'm also going to tell you another benefit. Sadly, everyone in my immediate family, everyone has some kind of uh, what is it? Long-term illness or
Like
like the
from
chronic illness.
inflammation.
Chronic illness, yeah. So diabetes, high blood pressure, you know, everyone, and they all eat meat. And no disrespect to them,
I
but
understand.
I'm just saying. So I think that I am the youngest of them, so maybe that matters.
Mm,
But
yeah, but let me just jump in. Sorry, I mean, because I can relate.
yeah,
But here's the thing, though. When they were your age, I think this is
they
how
had the
I would.
same. They had the problems when they were my age. Yeah, at 53 they did. I'll be 54 soon. So yes, they did. They had the issues, and so I think that is it's sort of like slow and steady wins the race. Like you might think, oh, okay, nothing serious is happening, but when you start to get like in your 50s, you get past that 50 mark, you really, really, when you get past that 40 mark,
Yeah,
is when you really start noticing how people start pulling away in terms of health, some going this way, some going that way.
yeah,
So I made the decision to be okay. So my grandfather lived to be 100. So I have really good genes on both my mother and my father's side.
yeah.
One of her uncles lived to be 100, and my grandfather lived to be 100. And
Oh
so
goodness.
I was like, I think I was at his funeral and I remember thinking, I'll probably live till 125 because of modern technology. So
Yeah,
if I'm going to do that, I need to make sure that my body feels and looks good and all the things, because who wants to be 125 and all broke
no,
down? So I really make it a practice not to be broke down, just to
I
keep the
agree.
thing going, keep the thing going. And so I'm gonna, I'm a yoga instructor. I teach yoga twice a week.
Go.
So, but I want to do some more fitness things, even though I feel good about where I am. I know that I could be stronger based on some of the goals that I have. Like I want to sometimes spend some time living in my van for a while. Maybe not living in my van, but extended time.
Tra-
I don't have a
at
van.
least
Yeah,
traveling.
I don't
Yeah,
have a van yet, but
yeah.
one day,
You're
but
manifesting it.
yes, and but those are things you have to be strong enough to do the hikes and
Yes.
reach under your van and things. You have to be strong enough for those kind of things. So I want to make sure that I get my body a little stronger,
Beautiful.
even though it looks good and I feel good. I don't, I feel good. I want to be more strong. Hmm.
I am so excited for you, and I am just so grateful to you because it's so weird. Recently, the people I've had in my live series are all very focused on fitness,
Hmm.
and now you're bringing this in, which was totally unexpected for me because I've never met you, and
Hmm.
so I was thinking this must be a sign from the universe that I need to get in shape even better than I am. I mean, I
Hmm.
feel the best that I've ever felt. The point
Hmm.
is, like, this must all be a sign from the universe. But anyway, that's enough about me. Let's get back to you. We have a question. Hi, thank you for coming on. What are your thoughts on seitan vegan meats, especially when made from scratch?
Well, I make them. I make them from scratch. And that's my thoughts on it. So
Totally.
a lot of times what I do, because sometimes the texture can be a little rubbery, so I like to add in things like beans and jackfruit and mushrooms to give it a nice texture. Like I am on Sunday, I'm actually doing an online cooking course for Easter food, and
Oh,
what we're going to do, one of the dishes, the main dish, is vegan oxtails. And I made that online maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. So I'm making it again. And in a class, if you want to know about that, go to my profile link. You can join the class. And that is going to be made from seitan and jackfruit and beans
Yes.
and mushrooms. So you get that nice texture in there. Because I
Yeah.
feel like seitan is I don't have a problem with it. It is gluten.
Yeah.
In case you people don't know, we used to call it gluten. That's what we used to call it. Sometimes you still hear me calling it gluten because that's all we called it, like
Right.
that as a meat.
Back
Oh,
way back
let's make
when.
some
Yeah.
gluten. Yeah. And it was hard to make. And then we used to just make it the wash the flour method. You see people call it the WTF, wash the flour method. And it really is a WTF because
Like
when you yeah, you can rinse all of that down the drain if you don't know what you're doing. So when I discovered Vital Wheat gluten, that you just mix it, it's the best thing. I don't waste my time with my grandmother, who was a vegetarian for 50 years. She did the wash the flour method. Yeah. So I
that's
forgot
so
to mention that
impressive.
it's part of my legacy to
Yeah,
be kind of to be
because you
plant-based.
said your mom
She
also.
dabbled and dabbled. She didn't do a whole bunch of it, but she had times that she was,
Yeah.
but mostly she was not.
You're right.
Most of the time,
Right.
and she didn't. And she raised us completely on meat, beef tongue, roast beef, chicken. You know, all the things. Somebody said to me, because of my grandmother being vegetarian, they thought that I was raised vegetarian. I said, "Oh no, ma'am,
Right.
I've eaten all kinds of meat."
Right. Right.
So, yeah.
Well, we
So,
we don't live in a vegan world or a vegetarian world, so
right, right.
Now you have another question.
Okay, what is the best meat substitute for making vegan fish? So let me break this down for you. So there's a couple different ways. So if you're looking for something you can buy in the supermarket, it's super easy. You know, you can find it anywhere. Hearts of palm. Make
Yes.
sure you press that out, or I use it for calamari. I use it for fried fish fillets. But make sure you press it kind of as flat as you can, or if you're cutting it into ringlets, poke out those holes because you want that surface area covered. If you're frying it anyway, you want that surface area covered so that you're not getting as much as the briny taste. I also use it for things like ceviche, hearts of palm.
Oh, now you're talking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so hearts of palm. Now, if you are used to eating fish that is filleted. So if you've eaten fish that's filleted, hearts of palm is the one. If you're used to eating, I'm from New Jersey, off the sea, Atlantic City.
Wow.
So we ate fresh caught fish with the tails and everything. And
Yes.
I told you how much my father liked to cook that.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
used to eating that kind of fish that has a little bones or a little crispy tail and you like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
go with
Yeah.
the banana blossoms. Banana
Oh, that's
blossoms. And you
beautiful.
have to get that like either from Amazon or the Asian markets, but you're going to get that crispy tail. My sister has been allergic to fish for years. So she sat down with me and she had the banana blossoms. I made it casually. I wasn't even thinking, let's have some banana blossoms. Her mind was blown. She just went like, oh my
So
God,
yummy.
I haven't
Oh,
had this fish tasting thing for years.
right.
It's amazing. Her mind was blown. So banana blossom is going to give you that crispy tail, and the hearts of palm is going to give you that filet flavor, and also things like calamari.
I love that. And I
And then
just
I
want
made
to,
one the other day on my channel, by the way. For people who don't like either one of those, I added tofu inside a rice paper, fried it up, and I made some catfish nuggets. Mm-hmm.
wow. Those are amazing. And I just want to throw in a dish that I enjoyed in a plant-based restaurant. And it was they used jackfruit to make crab cakes,
Mm-hmm.
and it was so yummy.
Yes. Yes, I use jackfruit to make crab cakes. I also use banana blossom, the broken pieces to make crab or salmon cakes. It's all the same, all that.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right,
Mm-hmm.
right. And oh, and another one in that same restaurant I had another time chickpeas with like dill and all of that to
Oh
make
yeah.
a tuna sandwich. Oh, that
I
was
do
one of
that
the
as well.
best meals.
Yes.
Yeah, you do that too.
I do that too. Yes, I mash it up really good, season it like you would your tuna. Sometimes I put it with macaroni salad. So like
Oh,
it's a tuna macaroni salad because when I grew up, that's what we had, tuna macaroni salad. So I do that. It's really really yummy.
and
Mhm.
that's very popular at like gatherings. If you have to take a
Mhm.
dish, those kinds of foods that you just mentioned are super duper popular.
Yes.
We do have, let's see, we have some more questions, which I will now ask if you would be kind enough to answer.
So what can you do when you like a nice healthy dessert besides fruits? Well,
Right.
first of all, let me say, you can make an ice cream out of bananas. It's very luscious, even though that's a fruit. Let me just say, freeze a ripe banana and put it inside of your blender or your if you have the kind of cold pressed juicer that doesn't that just do it in your blender
Yeah.
or your food processor. It makes a nice yummy um, one ingredient ice cream. Also, if you look at my recipe guides, I have sweet potato pie, I have sweet potato cobbler, I have peach cobbler, I have berry cobbler, lots of different things that you can do for desserts. No worries there. If you're baking, use things like applesauce to replace your eggs. You can use baking soda, all these kinds of things. If you go again to my page, swipe left to the guides. I think I have an egg replacement graphic there that you can see all the different ways that you can use egg to replace for baking.
That is
And of course,
beautiful.
just milk in the other is the other thing, milk. But yeah, desserts are no problem. You just sub out the eggs and sub out the milk. You're good. But I will say, don't use just eggs for your baking because it has a little bit of onion powder in it. Simply
So the
eggless.
taste is going to
Yeah,
be a
yeah,
little
yeah, a
bit
little bit.
off.
Simply eggless doesn't have that. But they're also very expensive to use as egg replacement. So I wouldn't recommend doing it because they're too expensive. You could use applesauce, chia seeds, flax seeds, things like that. But if you're in a rush, try the simply eggless and not the just egg because it does have onion powder. It's really made for that savory taste of eggs, like a scrambled egg or whatever.
Beautiful.
You ladies have inspired me to transition to vegan right now. I'm a long-term juice. What's the rest of it say?
All right. I lost that. Yeah. Thank you for all these questions, everybody. So let me, because it's so big. Let me read it. Right now, I am on a long-term juice fast, and I wasn't sure if I could do vegan. But now, with so many recipes and options, I am making a commitment in my heart to go vegan.
Yeah.
Brooke, take it away.
And that is melanated flow. That is really the way to do it, is make the commitment in your heart. And don't beat yourself up if you fall back. You know what I mean? But once it's in your heart, you'll get there. But just give yourself grace and allowances to get there at your own pace, but you will get there. Now, the good thing about the juice fast is that it will really change your taste buds. It's up to your mind, because your mind and your memories are what make you think you need the meat again. But the taste buds really get shifted for fruits and vegetables. But when you get into old situations, and I discuss all of this in my fasting guide, right? When you're in certain situations that call for meat or call for certain things, be on the lookout for all the little stage players that make you say, I need a steak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fish on Fridays,
Oh,
things like that. So keep an
yes.
eye out on those kind of behavioral cues that will keep you from doing what you want to do. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I am blown away. And I want to backtrack to the question about the desserts because in honor of you,
Mm-hmm.
Brooke, this morning I made uh, I'm going to call it like a sweet potato pie smoothie.
Mm.
And because I had this sweet potato and I was like, yeah, I'm going to make a smoothie. I'm going to make a smoothie, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my gosh, what a coincidence. I'm speaking with Brooke today and she's all about soul food. I'm going to make this sweet potato smoothie today. So, in honor of you, I am sipping and just dipping into my yummy sweet potato
I
smoothie.
love it. I have a recipe for one in my fasting guide. So I love a sweet potato smoothie.
I love
Mm.
that. Thank you so much.
And that vitamin A is so good for your skin and just for everything. I love it. Yeah.
Totally. Let me see. There are so many questions here. Let me allow you to chime in on this one, please.
What is considered healthy vegan eating and what nutrients are needed in this style eating, please? And what's the rest of it? All
And
I got
thank
is
you.
and
Please
thank
and
you.
thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about health that I always tell people. It's personal. It's as personal as religion. So I would like you to do your own deep dive and journey on what's healthy for you. Because over the years, I've tried all kinds of things. I used to make my own flour in my high speed blender because I wanted high protein, low gluten flour. I used to, at the same time, I'd be making seitan to eat. So go
Wow.
figure. I used
Yeah.
to make my own milk. You know, I
Yeah.
still do make my own milk, oat milk, um, coconut milk. So
Ooh.
I've sea moss, which we used to, we called it Irish moss and sea moss, you know, years ago before it became all the rage. I used to just do that, soak that, clean it, soak it, make a gel out of it, put it in smoothies and things. But my thing is this, you have to decide. You can try all these different things that you see out here, cabbage, this and that, ginger, sea moss, all these things, echinacea, there's been so many different pignaginal, all these different crazes over the years about this is the best, this is the miracle thing, CBD, all of that stuff. You have to go ahead and try what you want, but it's a personal journey.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you what's the healthiest,
Yeah.
because healthy is also about your mind, body, and spirit.
I love
So
that.
if it soothes your soul to eat some gluten rather than a chicken, do it. You know what I mean? If the tofu is convenient and it takes the stress off of you of trying to
Yeah.
find some place to eat besides chicken, do it. You know,
Yeah.
so you decide. It's okay to see all the different varying opinions, but choose the path that's going to be makes you feel good, makes you feel less stressed, makes you feel happy, soothes you mind, body, and spirit, not just like this rigid way of being.
Yeah, and I really, love and applaud you for, mentioning spirituality from the top of the hour. When I asked you my first question, you mentioned spirituality, and I thought, oh my gosh, it's so wonderful because a lot of people don't think about it. And when I first went vegan, I didn't do it for spiritual reasons. However, along my journey, it kind of, it kind of appeared out of nowhere, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. Well, I mean, out of nowhere, I don't really know if that's true, but anyway, it just kind of appeared, and I was like, taken aback by it, to be honest. But to me, that's been one of the beautiful, I guess, benefits of this journey as well.
Well, a couple different things. Number one, I'm a minister. I'm a metaphysical practitioner. So
Okay.
there's that. Um, Number two, the foods that we eat have a way of clogging and clearing our faculties to make it easier for spirituality. And I'm a believer that plants clear your faculties for spirituality. So that's one of the reasons why I'm plant-based, because like to keep my faculties clear, not clogged up with heavy fats and sugars and salts and blah, blah, all the stuff. And you know what I mean? And that feeling of, what's this, the veganism clears up the pineal gland and the third eye. Yeah. So the calcification that happens, you get that all cleared up. But it's more than just your third eye. It's all, your whole body is a conduit for spirituality, right? Your whole body, not just your intuition, everything. So you want to make sure, like anytime that you have aches and pains and things like that, you can refer that back to, spiritual things or mental things, metaphysical things. So check that all out, but then also you can also refer it back to the foods that you're eating. And like you say, we were talking about the mercury in fish. Even when I was a pescatarian, my husband would crack up because he said every once in a while you just go off and you feel like you feel like you got too many heavy metals or you got worms. And I would go on these, like, taking like clay and metamucil and all these kinds of things, black walnut holes, all that, to try to flush myself out. Even though I was eating the fish, I was like, I might have worms, I gotta get rid of, I would just
It's true. It's true. You never know. There's so much junk. There's so much. Yeah.
I got parasites, so every once in a while I would just make sure that I was cleaning up from that.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, so it is all spiritual. Keeping everything clear, mind, body, and spirit clear, clean, strong, allows you to have that nice, clear connection with your creator so that you can do all the things that you need to do. And part of me being able to write 7 books and create a group and be on Instagram and all these kinds of things is because of keeping those faculties clear. teaching yoga. Like the people that I teach yoga for, they're like, "Are you still going to keep teaching yoga? This vegan thing has gotten so big." I'm like, "Yeah, my people need me." You know,
Love
and
that.
the way that you can keep doing all these things is because you keep everything nice and clear and flowing, and breathing it in and out and all of that. So it's so important.
Thank
And I plan to keep
you for that.
doing it.
I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you so much for that. So you have another question.
Any vegan shrimp recipes? Well, there's a couple different ways. With the vegan shrimp, you can actually buy that commercially. It's made from what's called konjac root most of the time. Sometimes it's made from soy, but most of the time it's made from konjac root, which is a popular ingredient in China. And then boil it, extrude. Am I saying it right? Can't remember. Anyway, they push it through.
Okay.
extrude,
Okay.
extrude. I think I'm saying that right. Anyway, and they make these little shrimp that you can do various things from. You can get them at the Asian market. You can find some of the places even sell them breaded and things like that. So those are the shrimp options. I've also seen people make shrimp out of king oyster mushrooms. They
Yeah.
cut out the shape of that and they season it up. You probably want to boil that first or steam it because it can be a little tough. Yeah, so that's for the shrimp. And make sure
Awesome.
when you are making that, you use a little seaweed so it gives you that seaweed taste.
Exactly. And these sea animals are consuming seaweed, are consuming
Mm-hmm.
plants in the water. So why don't we just go straight to the plants? That's how
Right,
I see it.
right. The same thing with land animals. They're
Ex-
consuming plants, a lot of them.
yes,
So we can just get the
totally.
plant. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for adding that.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to get into soul food. So please tell us, what is soul food for those who are not from certain parts of the US, from certain
Mm-hmm.
parts of the world? Tell us, what is soul food?
Well, soul food is the kind of food that evolved from African Americans being being enslaved in America. So a lot of what we ate, they gave us the scraps and we made a delicacy out of it. They gave us these old tough collard greens. Take that. We softened them, took out the veins, cut them really soft, made them nice and soft and beautiful. Take the chitlins, eat that. We're going to eat the ham. You get the intestines. We clean that up. We make that a delicacy, on and on about the kinds of ways that we decided to take the food that was given to us and make it into something amazing.
Right.
However, the irony of that is that same food is killing us because that food was clogging up our arteries, causing us to have diabetes, causing us to have cancer, all the things. We're hovering at the top as African Americans. We're hovering at the top of those kinds of health concerns because of soul food and things like inactivity as well. The good news, though, is that we're also hovering at the top of a plant-based diet. The general population in America, 4% consider themselves plant-based. Of the Black community, 8%. So we're also trying to correct
Yeah.
that problem, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, the soul food typically is high in fat, high in salt, high in sugar, low in fiber. So it's just not really good for us. So with vegan soul food, you can actually do a lot to make your food taste so much close to that, but you're adding in superfoods, you're adding in fiber, it's lower salt, lower sugar, you know what I mean? And you're literally, like the oxtails that I'm about to make, they're super satisfying, but I'm actually adding in beans and I'm adding in the fiber from jackfruit, from mushrooms, from beans. You know what I mean? And so it's this yummy dish that it's not an animal, but it tastes really good and it still soothes your soul in the same way. And you are actually adding in foods that are good for your health,
Yeah.
like beans and fiber and fruits and vegetables. When I make my macaroni and cheese, I use cashews that I soak in cashew milk, and that's so good for you. You want to get those monounsaturated fats into your body. So you're actually, with vegan soul food, still soothing, because the truth is, what we did is as Black people with soul food is we used it as a way to self-soothe, which if you don't have therapy and you don't have this and you don't have that, we use sometimes vices and things like that to self-soothe.
Oh yeah.
So the things that we're self-soothing with should not kill us. And we can still self-soothe with food, even though it's, ideal that you heal instead of self-soothing, but we're going to get to that later. But if you're still going to use food to self-soothe, it's a good idea to use something like vegan soul food so that you can also get the health benefits, so you're not killing yourself along the way. Because, racism is stressful enough, and you're using food to soothe yourself from that. And then isn't it ironic or like a terrible thing that the thing that you're using to soothe yourself from, you're also dying from a slow death? So we don't want that anymore. We want to do something better for ourselves.
Yeah, and it makes me think of how people talk about comfort food and these are
Mm-hmm.
comfort foods. But what's beautiful is that you are veganizing them and showing people how to veganize them. So that takes me to my next question, which is, can you please tell us about your events, your classes?
So I do a various different kinds of events. Okay, so I'm doing, like I said, an online event. I'll be in my kitchen this weekend teaching how to cook an Easter meal. I actually have one that I did last year. It's on YouTube now. Once the class was paid and everybody got
Right.
everything, you can see it on YouTube. You don't have the recipe cards. You'd have to buy the recipe cards. And that one was made of vegan ham. And I think I made a vegan seafood salad, which I used chickpeas and vegan shrimp in that one, and made a pasta salad. I also made turnip greens with no meat, of course, with all like garlic and all of that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I do online classes. From time to time, I partner with Fulton County, Georgia, here in Atlanta, and I do in-person classes. And I'm willing to partner with other people. I've partnered with churches and libraries to teach their people online. Um, I'm doing a trip to Thailand.
Oh,
Yeah.
tell us.
So for years, especially before the pandemic and before vegan soul foodie and all of that, I did women's retreats, and that's kind of how I discovered that my food was really good. Of course, my family liked my food, but when I started cooking for the retreats, I noticed that people like the vegan food and they like the pescatarian food. So that kind of got me on the path. I've done women's retreats in Jamaica, in the North Georgia mountains, and the coast of Georgia, and now we're going to Thailand. This is not a women's retreat, though. This is a trip that anyone can go to. It's a tour trip. My husband and I went to Thailand for our 25th wedding anniversary, and now we're going for our 30th, which is, yeah.
Congratulations.
So the trip is in November. It's the day after. You probably would have to leave the day after Thanksgiving to
Right,
get there. I think we start on Saturday, but it takes a day or so to
right.
get to Thailand. So it's lots of vegan options there, but you don't have to be a vegan to go. It's really about just seeing what you never saw, doing what you never did, and enjoying the Thai culture. They're really sweet people there. I love it there. This will be only my second time going, but I love it. And but so if you're vegan and your husband is not, or vice versa, or you want to take some non-vegan friends, it's going to be enough to accommodate everyone. We're staying at when I've done women's retreats before, we stay like in a house or a luxury house or something like this. But this is going to be a hotel. So everybody's going to have their own space and this luxury hotel and that kind of thing. So it's a little different than what I've usually done. Like with my women's retreats, we've got in there, we've done healing and, arts and crafts and yoga and meditation and all that. We're going to do some yoga and some meditation, but mostly this is a tour group of fun, just having a good time in Thailand. So, but none of that pussy ping pong and stuff like that. So it's not like that.
I love that though, because you're adapting it to like your intention,
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, in a women's retreat or a men's retreat, you want everyone in the same house, quote unquote, like
Right.
it's all like a family kind of
Mm-hmm.
you know event, or a girls trip or a boys trip or whatever. But your intention is different this time, and so I can definitely see like why a hotel would probably be more suitable, and that's why you chose it.
Right. Well, and I've been having to grapple with the idea. Okay, so before the pandemic is when I did most of my retreats. I've only done one since the
Right.
pandemic. And before the pandemic, I didn't have a group with 450,000 people.
No.
And I didn't have an Instagram with 110,000 people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So now I have all these new friends. It's so big. So I've been grappling with how to integrate my same offerings of retreats and things, but for a bigger audience because
Totally.
it's not as intimate anymore,
No.
and it's, you know, so
And
I
putting
have to,
totally, like a total mixed match of people in a house would
right.
be a little tricky, I
Yes,
think.
it's a different vibe now. That's the whole thing. Like before, it was so much smaller, and I was able to keep it so that, you know, with the simple questionnaire and things like that, I kind of knew friends of friends and things like that who was in my space. But now it could be anybody, anything, any. So I can't do it like that anymore.
Well,
Even going to
you know,
Thailand, I'm only doing 20 people.
okay. Well, that's
Hmm.
beautiful.
Yeah.
But you know, I can really see why you chose, you know, this option.
Hmm.
So I've you know, you've talked to us about your books. Tell us a bit more about your vegan soul food Facebook group with almost 500,000 members. If a person wants to join your group, get involved, what do you want them to know?
I want them to know that our biggest tenet of the group is keeping it encouraging. So there's no ridicule in our group. That's the first way to get you bounced out. I don't bounce them out so much anymore unless it's really egregious. Now I might put you on suspension for 20 days or, you know, or a few days. It really depends on the level of what you're trying to do. If you just don't understand, because a lot of people don't understand, the internet is a wild, wild west of bullshit, right? It's a lot of craziness that happens on the internet. So people think they can just go all around the internet acting up, but we're like a sacred space in that we're here to be on task. We're here to learn about vegan food, be inspired, to kind of have a good environment. So we don't allow foolishness. If we see any of it, we can't catch it all because it is a lot going on, but we have a lot of keywords to catch it. We have people to, you know, we ask members to report anything they see,
Yes.
but we pretty much have a really big tenet of keeping it encouraging. That's the main thing. We're also not there for you to come and do a lot of promoting, you know. Of course, I do promoting of my things because I work from it sun up to sundown in order to
Totally.
keep it going. I
Totally.
have to have some kind of income to even keep it going. But it's not there. We don't want to make it like a marketplace and all this kind of stuff because it's a community. It's almost like a church. Like, would you get up in the aisle selling your wares? No, you wouldn't.
No.
So
No.
you know, would you be yelling across the aisles at your members? No. So we keep it, the biggest thing is keeping it encouraging. No food policing, no vegan policing, no reprimanding, nothing like that. And sometimes people get a little offended, not so much anymore, but sometimes they get offended. They try to inbox you about it. All I said was this, and that wasn't bad. Well, we have enough foresight in our group. We've been around for 3.5 years. We know that if you say you should have put brown rice instead of white rice, now that might sound very like nothing to you. Go to Facebook and search vegan soul food. I've recently changed the name to Vegan Soul Foodie with Brooke, but the extension is still Vegan Soul Food. So if you type in Vegan Soul Food, you'll find it. It's a
Yeah.
picture of me. It's a picture of me there on the top. But so anyway, you might think that your comment is nothing. It's
Right.
no problem. Well, and I don't know what the baseline for your household is in terms of tolerance of disrespect or, you know, sniping at people. I don't know that about you,
Zero
but I do know,
tolerance.
yeah,
Zero
but
tolerance.
what I do know is that this person just presented their rice and their tofu, and you coming and saying what someone else should do is not healthy, not helpful, not on task, and it cuts down on people feeling comfortable enough to share. Uh, the best flour. So I like to add in a little um, fiber, high fiber, high protein into my flour. So sometimes I'll just use a regular all-purpose flour, but I'll mix in things like whole wheat. Lately, I tried this thing called, it's kind of chocolatey. It's called forgot shit.
Like cacao. Not no, not
It's a new. It begins with the M. I think I have to. I made a video for it and then I archived it. I don't remember. What's
mm,
the name of it? It's kind of. It'll come to me. So anyway, that's for sweet things like flowers and cakes and things like that. It's a new Lord, why can't I remember it? But I use, sometimes I use almond flour. I'll mix that in with regular flour. So I don't go straight gluten-free or straight fiber. I mix it in with regular fiber because you want the performance of the flour. Um, I get confused about seasoning. So again, if you swipe left on my page, I believe that I have a seasoning graphic for you that gives you like the 15 essentials to help you along. You could also go to my Amazon page, and I have a whole big idea list with all kinds of different seasonings and things like that. And if you go to my videos and you listen to the things that I'm using, I very rarely write them down, although I do have a subscription service. If you want to join my subscription service, I do write down the recipes for you there. But if you're just a watcher on Instagram or on my Facebook group or whatever, you have to listen in to what I'm saying that I'm using, and you'll get everything there. But if you need it, if you're the type of person who needs it written down, measurements and all of that, you have to join my subscription service. It goes straight to your phone, and I give you written recipes there. So, so what was I saying? I can't remember. Oh,
yeah.
I was talking about that flour. I can't remember the name of it. Oh,
No
goodness.
worries.
It'll come to me. Yeah.
No worries.
Just mix it. All I'm saying is mix it in because you want the performance of the regular white flour because you want it to be kind of bouncy and things like that. But you might want a little fiber just to cut down on your belly bloating and things like that. That's just how I do it.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful because what I was thinking when you were describing it, Brooke, was, oh my gosh, like you're also adding more nutrients, like with all these different ingredients, and you're adding more textures and flavors. So for me, throwing in a bunch of different ingredients might seem weird for some people, but I actually love it.
Like for a lot of times when I'm making cornbread, I'll just take some oats and grind them down in my high-speed blender, and I'll use oat flour, and that's it. So, you just kind of trade it off.
Yeah.
But remember, if you remember that you need fiber, like people think, oh, vegans and vegetarians, they don't get protein. That's not true because all vegetables are protein. We get plenty of protein. Protein is not the problem. But if you can add in more fiber, you're going to cut down on your belly fat. You're going to cut down on your weight. You're going to cut down on your breakouts on your face. And, you're going to just cleanse and eliminate. So I like to get fiber wherever I can sneak it in.
Totally. I love it. So, Brooke, we have a couple minutes left. Okay. So let me ask you a question. What are the best ways for people to contact you for information, collaboration, questions, comments, etc.?
So you can reach me at brooke@vegansoulfoodie.com. That's my email. Of course, you can go to vegansoulfoodie.com. That is my website. You can go to vegan.soulfoodie on Instagram, which you probably already see. That's my other page. My page here. And then you can go to my group, which is Facebook groups, Vegan Soul Food. You just search for groups in Vegan Soul Food, and I should come up. Like I'm the largest group there. So if you don't see a picture of me, it's probably not mine because someone has stolen my identity years ago, but it's very low. It's like 12,000 on that one. So ours is the big one with a picture of me, and it's now called Vegan Soul Foodie with Brooke Bryn. That's the name of it, but the URL is still facebook.com/group/vegan soul food. And then of course I have a Facebook page, Vegan Soul Foodie. So that's how you find me. Just look up, if you go to Google and you put in Vegan Soul Foodie, you'll probably find me.
Fantastic. So Brooke, before I ask you to wrap this up and put a bow on it for us, please, I want to thank you so much for, coming on today, taking time out of your busy schedule and sharing your expertise and your passion. I want to thank everybody who tuned in either live or on the replay, and especially those who are asking questions, who are chiming in with comments. I apologize that we will not get to all of the questions. There are still some more questions in the queue. I apologize for that. But, there's only so much we can ask. And so at this point, Brooke, again, thank you so much. And I want to ask you for any final thoughts you may have for us today to kind of wrap this up and put a bow on it for us, please.
My final thoughts are that you do not have to be a vegan nor a vegetarian to enjoy vegan food and vegan soul food. Just add a little extra, little extra fruits and vegetables into your diet. Add some beans, add some nuts. Add some vegan soul food into your diet, and you will not regret it. You don't have to label yourself as anything. Just add a little bit in, and it's going to matter. To the
Thank you
planet, to your
so much.
body, to everything. Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for that. And I
Thank
just
you.
love how you just take a holistic approach. And so I just think that's awesome.
Thank you.
So I want to thank you again, Brooke. I'm going to save this to Instagram and my stories, and then I'll message you
Okay,
after.
awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye
Okay,
bye.
bye.